You would think after the success of the prior James Bond films that actor George Lazenby would go on to do more, right? Eon Studios originally approached the star of On Her Majesty's Secret Service with a 7-film contract. Because of the exhaustive experience he had on that first film, not to mention advice from his agent to stay away from the character because he was becoming an ancient relic or some shit like that, Lazenby bowed down after just one film. In my opinion, that's why he gets such a bad rap. So after approaching several potential actors to take up the reins, including Michael Gambon and Adam West, the studios lured Sean Connery back into the role of Agent 007, much to the pleasure of his fans. And trust me, they paid Connery out the ass. The 7th Bond film starts right off with James Bond once again pursuing Ernst Blofeld. They immediately start building the suspense, waiting a few scenes before they reveal that Connery is back in action. Then he steps onto the scene, delivers his famous line,
"My name is Bond. James Bond."
And right when we think he's going to seduce the girl, he strangles her with her own bra.
"There is something I'd like you to get off your chest."
This is the Bond that doesn't screw around. We find that Blofeld... Okay, now he's got a full head of hair. Every time we see this guy, his whole appearance changes. When you go back to From Russia with Love, you never actually see him as number 1. But it's clear in this shot that he's not bald. That's Anthony Dawson, who played a completely different role in the prior film, Dr. No. So we don't actually see the character until You Only Live Twice, where Donald Pleasance plays Blofeld as a bald, scarred villain. We get to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where Blofeld is once again played by a different actor, this time Telly Savalas. And he almost looks the same, minus the scar. So now he looks almost normal. So now we have Charles Gray playing the character, and he's just some old guy. He's not even an interesting character anymore. I was always curious why they did this, because it's a pretty big inconsistency. It's like with each film they go backwards with the character. But anyway, Blofeld is recruiting men to get operations done that will turn them into decoys. Bond thinks he's got his nemesis cornered in a mud bath when the real Blofeld shows up and Bond flings him into a vat of steaming hot mud.
"Welcome to hell, Blofeld."
We get a glimpse of his cat, who wears a diamond necklace, setting up the tone for the rest of the movie. As M briefs Bond on a ring of diamond smugglers, we're introduced to 2 of the film's antagonists, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, who intercept a diamond smuggler, killing him with a scorpion. These guys could almost be the comic relief of the film. They deliver their lines with an intentional flatness that somehow works to their favor.
Curious how everyone who touches those diamonds seems to die.
The dentist's helicopter comes for the smuggler when Wint and Kidd give him a package. The helicopter flies off, only to explode in the distance. And as they walk off, they hold hands. Now, I know a person's sexuality is his own business, but I don't see the point of making them homosexuals.
They're both aboard. I must say, Miss Kay seems quite attractive. For a lady.
Don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against it. In fact, it's interesting to see them in a Bond movie, given the franchise's history of seductive Bond girls. But again, it always comes down to the context. It's the villains who are the homosexuals. The gay men are the bad guys. Well, I never championed the James Bond series for being politically correct. After all, it's only a movie.
To avoid fainting, keep repeating. It's only a movie. Only a movie.
M sends Bond to Holland to investigate one of the diamond smugglers, but not before Bond meets with Miss Moneypenny.
"What can I bring you back from Holland?"
A diamond? In a ring?
"Would you settle for a tulip?"
Under the guise of a jailed smuggler named Peter Franks, Bond meets Tiffany Case, who makes her grand entrance practically nude. Budget problems in the wardrobe department? Case suspects he's an imposter and goes as far as to photograph James' fingerprint. But the joke's on her because it was actually Q, played by Desmond Llewellyn, who manufactured print implants for Bond to wear for the occasion. He also tells Bond that the real Peter Franks is out of jail, which leads to Bond confronting him minutes later. They fight in an elevator where Bond kills him and places his credit card inside of Frank's jacket.
You just killed James Bond.
Is that who it was? Well, it just proves no one's indestructible.
Bond stuffs the diamonds inside Frank's body and boards a plane where our happy couple follows. When they land, Bond gets intercepted by airport security, where we meet the next incarnation of Felix Leiter, played by Norman Burton.
Well, Felix Leiter, you old fraud.
He really is a throwaway character, isn't he?
Elementary, Dr. Leiter.
After Franks gets cremated and James gets the diamonds, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd hit him over the head, and the next thing we know, he's in his own coffin.
You dirty double-crossing limey fink, those goddamn diamonds are phonies.
Bond goes to the White House where Wint and Kidd strike again. They sure are persistent, aren't they? Bond goes to the craps table and meets another Bond girl.
Hi, I'm Plenty.
But of course you are.
Plenty O'Toole.
I wanna hump a lot.
They go to have sex when more diamond smugglers intervene, throwing Plenty out the window.
Exceptionally fine shot.
I didn't know there was a pool down there.
And then leave without a word. Tiffany shows up, seduces Bond, and then reveals her intentions of leaving the country with Bond and the real diamonds. At a carnival, Tiffany gets the diamonds and then wanders around aimlessly to see some of the attractions.
Wake, my beauty, wake!
And that's just about the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Felix, don't tell me you lost her.
We lost her.
Bond meets up with Tiffany at her penthouse suite where they find Plenty dead at the bottom of the pool. They decide to team up again, heading off White's casino manager, Bert Saxby. The dialogue here is also pretty bad and almost makes us forget we're watching a sophisticated Bond film.
Keep leaning on that tutor, Charlie, and you're gonna get a shot in the mouth.
And Jill St. John doesn't fare well as an actress either. They follow Saxby to a laboratory where Bond finds a satellite being built that harnesses the diamonds. When his cover is blown, he escapes into the desert in a goofy-looking moon buggy. They make their way to the Vegas Strip where they get pursued by the police.
Why, you dirty bat!
You dirty what? I have to admit it's a pretty decent chase sequence. It even has the classic car driving on two wheels stunt. After Bond and Tiffany entertain themselves, Bond whips out another one of Q's gadgets and infiltrates Willard White's office. Within minutes, he finds himself face-to-face with Blofeld. And Blofeld. Not knowing which Blofeld is the real McCoy, Bond kicks the cat. I'm serious, he kicks the cat. I'm not sure what purpose it serves, but it's amusing. And shoots one of them at random. Blofeld, I'm assuming the real one this time, corners him into an elevator. Now, why, after so many encounters with this asshole, would he willingly enter this death trap?
I'm super! Thanks for asking.
Sorry, I had to. I know it's in bad taste, but I had to.
Thank you very much. I was just out walking my rat and I seem to have lost my way.
That wasn't funny. Seriously, the humor and the charm are starting to wear off. Q helps Bond disguise his voice as Saxby and fools Blofeld into thinking he's on his way to dispose of White. He manages to get to White's private penthouse, but gets attacked by Bambi and Thumper. Copyright of Disney, 1942. What is this, the Cirque du Soleil of bitches? Bond gets his ass kicked for a while until they throw him into a pool. Then he suddenly wins. I don't really know how that works. But hey, the man evaded Largo's shark, so the efforts of Bambi and Thumper are futile. After Saxby's assassination attempt fails, we see Tiffany meet up with Q, who's using a new parlor trick.
Well, I guess I'm working for the good guys now, but I'm still only 2 steps away from the slammer if they want me there. I thought you might be able to put in a good word.
God, she is so annoying! I'd much rather listen to Q and his techno babble.
This causes the rotation of the cylinders to stutter at just the precise moment needed to...
I can't take this movie seriously anymore. This is a parody. This has suddenly become a parody of the James Bond franchise. So White finds out that Blofeld was posing as him the whole time to have his men set up the whole satellite thing. Blofeld takes control of the satellite and starts blowing up random objects like missiles and submarines.
But how can you
There's still an hour left for them to reply. 1 hour for both of us to achieve our common dream. Total disarmament and peace for the world.
Blofeld won't learn, will he? Really? Still trying to take over the world? Can't you be a little more realistic in how you set your goals? Bond arrives at Blofeld's location in a not-so-hidden vessel, allowing himself to be captured. And it turns out that Tiffany Case is once again turned on him. That conniving, two-timing excuse for a bad actress. Actually, she helps Bond in switching the tapes, which he does. Then Tiffany informs him that she switched the tapes back.
Stupid twit, you put the real one back in.
Come on, let's go.
She's not exactly batting 1,000 here. She's a terrible actor, an annoying character, and stupid. Oh joy, a triple threat. Really, James, you can have any woman on the planet. Think it's time to trade up? So again, Felix organizes an air raid, taking out Blofeld's fortress. James plays Tarzan. finally has some fun with Blofeld. Hey, it's like one of those claw games. Tiffany gets a gun, and yeah, she screws that up too. So Blofeld's place goes up in flames, although we never actually find out what happens to Blofeld. Tiffany and Bond board a cruise ship and are on their way to 11th orgasm when they're interrupted by Tweedledee and Tweedledumbass. I have to admit, this scene is the tits, although it's pretty funny and hard to take seriously. James, you could do better. Then again, you could do worse. So that's the last of the Connery Bond films, and it's kind of a shame that this is the one he went out on. They tried to return the series to its more colorful roots, and some of it works fine. It's still a Bond film, and for what it's worth, it's entertaining to watch. But of all the Connery Bonds, this one feels the most drawn out, taking several turns before it actually goes anywhere. Tiffany is definitely one of the more annoying Bond women, and again, it doesn't do a hell of a lot with its main antagonist. For goodness sakes, they couldn't even have him look like the earlier incarnations of the character, so it was as if they just gave up. It could have been a little less whimsical, and it begs for a few more car chases. In fact, probably the only memorable part of the film are the two side antagonists, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd. Now don't get me wrong, it isn't bad either. It's just not as impressive as some of the films that came before it. Regardless of how it holds up, it was good to see him do one more before saying he would never again don the role of 007. This one's okay, but in the vast sea of James Bond movies, it's simply average. It's middle of the road.
Oh, look at that! And we have another winner.